Welcome everyone. In this lecture, we will discuss the different processes within the traditional plant production and distribution model, but we will also reflect on the potentialities of transformation offered by digital technologies. A collection is a structured system made up of a range of varied processes which take place within a specific time frame and require the participation and interaction of various professionals and departments, each of which has a specific role to play that impacts on the activities of the others. In particular, the complexity of a collection's development is determined by the synchronicity of the various phases and activities developed. In fact, not only specific operational routines between the various departments involved in planning for a specific season overlap, but they are frequently going on simultaneously. So, work may take place in parallel on multiple seasons and collections in accordance with planning across the whole chain. A fashion collection design calendar consists of three macro levels: strategic planning, creative and product development, presentation and distribution. The strategic planning of the collection refers to the strategic briefing phase that aims at consolidating the brand strategy, defining the merchandising plan, and planning the whole calendar of activities. This second level of activity encompasses the two most significant and markedly interdependent phases from a design perspective: creative development and product development. While the strategic briefing explicates the strategic managerial directions and objectives defined by the brand and shared by the firm's various departments, the subsequent creative briefing specifies inspirations, themes, shapes, and details. In this purely creative phase, the creative department designs the collection with a considerable degree of autonomy, because it is still free of production constraints. A structured research phase is undertaken, in which the design department draws up stylistic guidelines for the collection. Collection presentation takes place via various channels, which vary from brand to brand in accordance with company strategies, from fashion shows to trade fairs to business sales campaigns in showrooms. At the end of the sales campaign, the production phase of the collection begins, and pre-collection and main collection delivery packages are distributed to the various retail outlets as set out in the delivery plan. Once in the shops, the collection is ready to be shown following the rules set out by the visual merchandising department and offered to end consumers. In the last 10 years, the interconnection and interdependence of the different activities and phases of this process, at least at the level of communication and distribution, have been already highly impacted by the codification of digital functions and roles in regard of the rise of digital communication and social media and the digital retail channels, from e-commerce to social commerce. However, the growth of digital retail has had a significant impact also at the level of product management in terms of logistics. As we can understand, digital sales require heavy organization in terms of transfer of information and handling of physical goods. These digital functions have been representing a sort of digital company within the traditional company, horizontally integrated in it. Lately, the development of a broad set of digital technologies has been creating the conditions for further changes of this process, and therefore of the traditional fashion supply chain, which could actually rise to a full disruption of the traditional fashion cycle as we know it and have analyzed it so far. In fact, digital technologies such as Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, 3D printing, RFID and blockchain, artificial reality and virtual reality, 3D body scanning are enabling technologies that have the potentialities to make the product development process a real-time one. Fast fashion simply accelerated the whole process for commercial purposes, contributing with the 30% of low-cost garments out of the circa 150 million of items the fashion industry produces each year, and with the 1/5 of unsold items that are thrown away or burnt, as a Danish TV report claimed about H&M in 2017. Considering the change in consumers' behaviors moved by fast fashion, the Pret-a-Porter model, as we have analyzed it, has been moving from a planned or semi-planned model to a sort of just-in-time on-demand one, managed through a gigantic system of operations, infrastructures, and produced waste without any actual improvement in the processes. In regard to this situation, we can envision the opportunity offered by digital technologies as the creation of a real-time process without cycles, seasons, and calendar to be respected. The accessibility and transparency of data shared in real-time, updated, and connected platforms along the whole process allow to make choices in real time, reducing the risks of anticipating decisions without having enough information, with the consequent risk of starting production activities that need later to be stopped or reorganized. Augmented product lifecycle management systems, virtually accessible to all functions and professionals, will return the needed information, giving also a context for them, so that the interdependency and consequentiality of decision will be virtually flattened and a real collaboration will be possible, speeding up the whole process without overloading activities. Such transparency will enable companies to be flexible enough to adjust their supply chain mechanisms according to individual needs, pursuing a much more focused collection. The complete virtualization of the process, thanks to digital technologies, will lead to an agile production that will further boost the dimension of multiple limited in number and small volume series of products. Consumers can browse digital shops offer, select items thanks to suggestions elaborated through big data analysis of trends, try on these items in virtual fitting rooms, and also personalize their garment accessing the digital patterns. The possibility to have distributed production toward the concept of a diffused factory will allow local manufacturers to be appointed for the production of single items starting from digital patterns, thanks to technologies such as laser cut and 3D printing. Therefore, the strategic role of logistics and its costs will be reviewed in favor of a scaled-down distribution and the rise of a distribution to consumers brand model that will shun physical retail as the elected place of purchase. Thanks to digital transformation, the organizational dimension is today at the brink of a paradigmatic change, the opportunities of which have been only partly taken up by the traditional fashion system. The difficulty in transforming complex organizations, together with the need for a change in culture and vision relating to the potential of Paradigm 4.0, have slowed down the adoption of effective solutions. Specifically, what is missing is a full-blown systemic approach, capable of integrating these solutions in a significant transition towards new business models which are not simply more efficient, but also closer to end consumers and more sustainable compared to current production and consumption paradigms that we have analyzed in the first part of this lecture.